People are pissed. Wasted taxpayer money, Trump blasts Biden again. So promises are made to be broken. I mean, isn't this the ugly truth if you live here in the United States? I mean, think about it. How many promises have been given to the American people for those on Social Security, SSI, SSDI, VA, for the working class, for people who tirelessly keep the country's economy on their backs? I mean, just how many promises have been broken? You know what? Comment down below a promise that you remember being told that ultimately lawmakers have not fulfilled yet. We don't want to get to a point where the people make their voice heard besides using their vote, right? I mean, think about what's happening across France due to policy changes and violence against their own citizens. Now, it's obvious that the people of France are pissed, and there's even notices to visitors to try and avoid areas as tourism may not be safe as well. Now, back here at home, it's not just us who has to avoid danger. The same goes for our wallet. Financial literacy, it's a huge issue for many Americans, and this is just one of the biggest reasons as to why I try to help as many of you guys out through opportunities that I personally believe that could get you a little bit closer to financial freedom. Now, my question is, do you feel as if the people who are in charge are financially literate on their own? Democratic presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. argues that we have money for everyone else besides the American people. Do you guys feel the same as RFK? I think that former President Donald Trump does in a way, as he accused President Joe Biden of having a China first policy, given the evidence being presented of his acquaintances with foreign CEOs and businesses. Now, he really has me fooled, because here I thought that the United States had another country in mind before all of us. Can anyone guess what that country is? And to set the theme of this video perfectly, a new update from New York City is showing that they spent $9 million in taxpayer money to conduct a survey wherein they placed $5 in each questionnaire. The problem was that the mail was made to look like junk mail, and it's looking as if a lot of that money has been just thrown out. Talk about throwing away taxpayer money like it was nothing, huh? All right, guys, let's get right down into the updates. Also, if you own a home, make sure your home is protected. Get your free home warranty quote. There's a link in the description down below this video. Now, we sometimes forget that we have a voice, right? And that voice resonates every 4 years. Now, the problem is that we listen so much as to what they will do for us instead of how they will actually be doing it for us. I mean, a great example is the student loan forgiveness plan, right? Now, we were told exactly what they wanted to happen, but did we ever hear how they were going to make it work? I mean, Nancy Pelosi challenged it right out the gate, but still, we never had an action plan. Now, we've heard about promises for Social Security, SSI, SSDI, for veterans, increases ranging from $200 or even more, and checks of up to $2,000. But at the end of it all, nothing happened. Do you guys think that if we vote people in, they should be held accountable for the promises that they made to us when they were campaigning? Now, you might say I'm just bashing away at the current president and basically half of the administration, but I would be doing the exact same thing if Trump was in charge and the economy was in the same situation. I don't really care who's in office. Like, I'm not a Democrat and I'm not a Republican, just a realist. Now, I would also say the same for RFK, for DeSantis, for Pence. It really doesn't matter who's at the top. If things are not working, then why would I say it's working, right? Like, I think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. made a lot of sense when he said this about what's happening in our country. Quote, "We need to restore our moral authority around the world. If every Democrat is against me on that, I'm still going to have to say it. We're acting like an alcoholic who's behind on his mortgage and he's taking the milk money and buying rounds for strangers at the bar. We have plenty of money for the big shots that need their bank bailouts and any war that comes along. All of this money that they're spending on the military is not making us safer, and it's not making us friends abroad." End quote. You know, the amazing part about all of this is that it seems that our own lawmakers and leaders, they're not all that financially literate, or at least financially responsible. But I guess that's what elections are for, huh? But heck, even our own economists, they don't know what's happening to the economy. In fact, just last year, lack of financial literacy cost 15% of adults at least $10,000. Now, this is clear because we know that this isn't a focus for our own education system. Hence, this has become a weakness for many of us. Now, speaking of weaknesses, former President Donald Trump called out President Biden on his alleged weakness when it comes to the country of China. So here's what he had to say about the president's most recent issues. Quote, "Joe Biden is corrupt and Joe Biden is a compromised president. He's being paid off just like a common criminal gets paid off, just in a more sophisticated manner and in much larger numbers. Joe Biden's policy is China first. My policy is very simple. America first." End quote. Do you guys agree with Trump? It would be extremely problematic if we actually did have a president who puts the needs and wants of other countries before ours. Now, if that was the case, then more people would feel neglected and disrespected. This is exactly what's happening right now in France as violence and fury protests have have shook Paris and other cities across the country of France. The riot started as a teenager was fatally shot by police in an incident that was caught on camera, causing outrage and fear that they could see violence much like what happened in 2005. Curfews have already been implemented for different towns as well as transport networks like buses and trams.
Peak tourist season in France. For many visitors, the sights of fiery and at times violent protests around the country over the fatal shooting of a teenager by police might make them worry about their itinerary. But protesters have largely left the most famed attractions in Paris alone, though some were dispersed from the Place de la Concorde on Friday. The country's main association for hospitality workers says many of its hotel members have seen an increase in the number of cancellations of reservations. The French Retail Federation is also calling for more police to stop stores being vandalised. But for the most part, central Paris has been unscathed, with some exceptions like when police say protesters looted stores on the Rue de Rivoli and damaged a shopping mall. There was also increased security along the Champs-Élysées, with police carrying out spot checks in the area. In the port city of Marseille, where some of the country's worst violence happened, a bus carrying Chinese tourists was attacked during a protest, causing minor injuries to some passengers.
The U.S. State Department has already issued a security threat telling citizens to stay away from mass gatherings and areas where there's even more normal police activity. France's President Emmanuel Macron is now holding the crisis talks in order to hopefully soothe all of this hostility. Crisis talks may be in order if you're from New York City, as a mental health survey seems to have hit the wallets of taxpayers much too hard. What happened over there? Well, how would you feel if the city spent $8.8 million of taxpayers' money to send out mental health questionnaires that had an incentive of $5 so, that people would actually be encouraged to fill them out? But here's the catch, guys. These envelopes, they look like junk mail. And out of the more than 200,000 households that received the survey, only about 12,759 people actually responded. Now, I'm not sure who actually thought this was a good idea to send the incentive together with the survey, but hey, I don't work for the government, or I should say the government. So I don't know what kind of brainstorming sessions that they have with these kind of dealings. But what do you guys make of all this? Make sure to share your thoughts on this and all the updates in the comment section. You gotta think that they're trying their best to attract attention, and cash is always a great way to do that, right? Now, if only the people who received that money knew it too. I know that we discussed financial literacy in today's video, but I wanted to just go a little bit further, especially for those of you guys who are hoping to achieve financial freedom. There are many different paths to get there, but if you ask me, there are two things that you absolutely need: cash flow and investments. Making more money could be achieved if you have multiple streams of income, something that you can do with side hustles, home-based businesses, even small businesses. Investments are always hit and miss, but if you got the core idea of how to manage them, you'll probably end up making some money while you sleep. This is again possible, but this time around through investments in real estate, the stock market, index funds, ETFs, and investments in gold and silver. Now, if you guys want to learn more about that, definitely drop me some comments down below. But before I go, guys, please drop a huge thumbs up for the video. Don't forget to subscribe for your daily dose of the truth. I really appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one.